When went it? Oh,
Went out. I'll tell you later.
Okay. We are live. We are streaming, and I probably want to record this. Here we go.
Nice.
Let's give it another few seconds before we get started. Ready? Everybody ready?
You got the easy part.
Okay. Hi and welcome everybody for another Catharsis Healing Talk. We are here again with our beautiful friends, Laura and Laura. Hi guys.
Hello.
And then Kay Cadell Whitaker. Kay is the author of The Reluctant Shaman and Sacred Link. And she brought these, her adopted Peruvian grandparents brought the teachings to the Western world, and they came here to this country to find her. And then she fell into their apprenticeship and stayed with it for more than 13 years. So if you want to learn about that, probably the Reluctant Shaman and Sacred Link is a good place to start. And today we are here to talk about the heart and core of these ancient teachings. And so the question is, let me look it up so I get this right. What is the heart and core of the ancient teachings, and why do we start the Call of Your Song course with that, with teaching those essential elements of the ancient teachings? So I guess you can take it from here, Kay.
all right.
There's a lot to say about this, but
It's a very big subject. But I'll start with the real core, the heart. And what I was taught by the two different traditions that I spent many, many years learning, that's the ancient Peruvian and the pre-flood, pre-dynastic, pre-flood Egyptian teachings, which are a bit different than the dynastic teachings, information that we hear about dynastic Egypt. And these ancient ways of thinking and being, they're very, very adamant that one needs to start with two things, and they go together side by side. And the first one is what we call learning about our song, finding our song. The other part is learning about what the ancients, the Hedekas, talked about. The word they used is masks. And everything that they do and say has a kind of pictorial and poetic way of speaking, way of thinking. So the masks are programming. This is the kind of indoctrination that we receive in the modern culture. No matter which branch of the modern culture you're living in, or you get born into, grow up in, we are fed lots and lots and lots of information, and it includes a lot of blindly held beliefs. Our whole culture has has this whole picture built out of these beliefs that are held blindly by the population, and they create a false reality. It's hard to really put it in any other way. They create a picture of the world, a picture of oneself, picture of everything, everybody else in the world that is not based on reality. False images, false ideas, and these false ideas come together. They're building the foundation, the structures of our whole society, our whole culture, the whole modern culture. Now, we need to really take a look at that if we want to have a spiritual adventure, if we want that to be our life path, if we want to experience things that are truly of a spiritual nature. And by that, I mean things that are non-linear, things that are outside of time and space, things that are of an energetic nature. If we're going to pursue those things, the only way to do that is to look at this, what the Hedekas used to say, this box that we live in. We learn how to live in this box. And Dharmana and Chia used to describe it, kind of picture it like a big cardboard box, and we're sitting inside this box, and it's all taped together so that there's no cracks, there's no holes. You can't see anything coming from outside. You're just in that box. And you think that that's all there is. That's what we're taught. That's all there is. This is the whole world. In the box sitting in front of you is a TV screen, big one. And you got a headset on your ears, and that's feeding you all the sound that's goes with the pictures on the screen, and it blocks out everything else, every other possible sound that might be going on. And we're taught that everything that shows up on that screen and that's in that headset is real. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth, the reality of our world, of ourselves, of our culture, of the people around us. And as little infants, we don't know any different. We don't know any better. So we believe the stuff that's taught to us. Even when we're getting to be a little bit older, not tiny infants, maybe we're starting to walk and get around more, make some sounds, maybe a couple words, stuff like that. We notice that these things of this world and the people and the things they say and what they say the world is, or who and what they are, who and what we are, that doesn't feel right. There's something not quite right there, because when we're born, we know who we are. We don't have any of these masks. We don't have any programming. We're clean slate. And we remember what it was like before we were born. And we remember past lives. We have a very different perspective from from those adults around us in this modern culture. But little by little, in order to be accepted, in order to fit in order to try to understand what people are trying to teach you and get you to believe, and the kind of behaviors they want you to be acting out all the time, we need to start listening to what they're saying, and listen to those blind beliefs and accept them as real. One of the big things that these blind beliefs are doing, that this cardboard box is all about, it's designed to keep us away from our song. That was the first thing that we mentioned. The first core idea, concept, this thing we need to learn about. This is, the word song is what the Hedicas, or the Peruvians, say about who they really are and what they really are. It describes, the word song for them is a poetic reference that describes our beingness. And they say that each one of us is a song. Each one of us, that's the who and what we are. And that's the who and what we have always been before we're born, when we've been in other lifetimes for eons and eons and eons. They say that our song is very, very, very ancient. Countless eons. Very, very, very ancient. You could even use the word eternal, and there's accuracy there. They say that our song is really vast, huge, vast. And then we've been in all kinds of different lives before this one. And on this planet, maybe as humans, sometimes we're interested in what it's like to be something like a tree or an animal or some other kind of plant or some other thing. Maybe we've been different sentient beings on other planets, or maybe some of their other kinds of life forms, whatever that might be. Or maybe we've just spent some good stretches of time being in exotic places like nebulas, where stars and planets are being born, and there's all those colored gases and the movement of things, and this nursery, this birthplace of whole star systems, all the planets that end up around them. This is their nursery, the birthplace. And we've been there. We know those places. We know the feeling of it. When we're tiny, a baby, a toddler, we remember those things. We understand. We have an experiential knowledge in our song, in our beingness, our aliveness. Experiential knowledge of who and what we are, where we've been, the real truth of things. And this is what we need to get back to. When we've taken on the programming and these masks and we're living in that cardboard box, we're not seeing, hearing, feeling, touching, smelling, tasting, anything of the real world, the 3D time-space world here on Earth. It's all a fake. It's all a pretend reality. And we learn to believe that that is us, that's the world, that is everything, and everything we ever would want to be or know or do or encounter, interact with. It's all there in the box, on the screen, in the headphones. That is all of existence. We learn to believe that. We're taught that because you could say the powers that be that govern our modern culture and keep it rolling, keep it going, keep it intact. They don't want us to know who and what we are. They don't want us to know, to remember, to feel what our song is. Because when we do that, we wake up out of the fog, the stupor of the box. The ancients call it being in that box being asleep. We learn how to live in this drugged out state. No other way to describe it, really. We learn how to live and carry out our lives, believing that we know everything. We're perceiving everything there is to perceive around us. And we understand it. We know the truth of it all. We know the truth of ourselves and what interactions with others, other people, other things in our world, animals, trees, plants, the dirt, the soil, water, air, the spirits that live here on the planet and are being part of, interacting with all these different things. When we're in the box, we don't perceive any of it. We've blocked it out. We've blocked out our song. We've buried it. And that is the primary directive of our modern culture, is to bury the song, all experience of it, all memory of it, to not think about it, not remember it, not feel it, not try to find it or explore it, that it's a fantasy, doesn't exist. It's all pretend, fairy tales. And when we're asleep in that box, in the fog, we believe that. And so we don't go look. We're taught that to do that is really dangerous and really bad, and all kinds of bad things that you could ever think of will happen to you if you head in that direction, if you start to remember things about your song, about the truth of yourself, or remember the feeling of it, the glorious, glorious, beautiful feeling of your own song. To remember how connected we are. Not just to our song, we are our song, but connected to everything around us, everything in our world. Other humans, all the plants, all the animals, all the rocks and the dirt, the earth itself. In the spiritual teachings, we're taught about our own song, but we're also taught that everything else in the world around us, everything on our planet, everything off the planet, maybe on other planets, everything through the universe is a song. It's alive. And it's conscious, every one of them, including ourselves, of course. We think, we feel, we sense, we have deep emotions. We interact with each other. We're connecting and interacting with each other. Our connectedness to every other song in our world, on our planet here, in the universe, is so deep and so intense, there's no way to ever break any of the connections. So in our programming, we're taught to not believe in the connections. We're taught to hide it from ourselves, to hide the knowledge of it, the experience of it, the feeling of it, and the things that are coming to us in this connectedness, and the things that we are sharing back out in this connectedness. It's two-way flow. We're connected to everything, and we are sharing love, consciousness, awareness, experiences. We're sharing life energies, other kinds of energies, knowledge, histories, potentials. We're sharing everything eagerly, willingly. And this is happening all the time. This deep, deep, eternal connectedness. When we're awake, when we know who we are, we know what our song is, we know what it feels like, we identify with our own song, we become aware of these connections. We become aware of all the things that are moving back and forth on these connections. We have the information of the universe flowing into us, a constant stream. Everything around us on our planet. We get the news. We get the minute by minute news, catch up, and the love, the beauty, the extreme beauty of these connections, and the beauty and love of each and every song, and how they are existing and experiencing and interacting with each other and creating new things and new thoughts and new feelings, sharing them with each other and everybody, everything else, song to song, heart to heart, center to center. This is the truth. This is the truth of things. So, what we are taught in the teachings, the very first things are these two primary teachings that will help break us out of the box. We break out a little bit at a time. Sometimes something spectacular happens to us, around us. We break out of a great big piece of this box all at once. And that's glorious. But for most of us trying to wake up out of this modern culture, it is so intense and so addictive. And we are so very, very, very addicted to it and all of its little nuances. We're addicted to being hanging on to these blind beliefs as though we die if we let them go. They are some kind of a something that keeps us alive. has nothing to do with keeping us alive. It has everything to do with keeping that box alive and burying you and keeping all of the light out of the box and all of the real view and sensory experience of the world around us and this connectedness and the feeling of our own song. It has a very unique feeling. It's a feeling of aliveness and love and fun, happiness, excitement, passion for living, passion for interacting with other songs, passion for creativity and sharing these things, exploring these things. Our song is so big and so vast and holds so much love, so much knowledge, so much history, all the memories, all this information that has come to us through the eons from all the other songs. We hold all of it. And it gives us a much bigger perspective of ourselves, our song, the other songs of our world, and how they are connected and what that means, what that dynamic actually is, what it feels like. We need to pursue that if we want to wake up out of the stupor that we've been taught, out of that programming, brainwashing that gets perpetuated in our modern culture every which way you turn, on the internet, on the TV shows and the movies and the commercials. Listening to all these other asleep people as they're talking about whatever they're talking about. They're coming from their programming, from the lies that they have been taught, and they spew them right back out to everybody around them, anybody who will listen. They try to reinforce that programmed fake world that we live in, this modern culture. So in order to get out of that, we have to find our song. We have to find our own piece of realness, of aliveness, of awakeness, and that's our song. And when we learn what the feeling of our own song is, and we learn how to turn our attention back into the feeling of our own song and identify with our song instead of identifying with all that programming, that's what we're taught all our lives here in this lifetime, this culture. We're taught to identify with the programming, with the lies, and what that programming says we're supposed to be or should be, and how we're supposed to live, how we're supposed to interact. These lies are full of all the negative emotions. They're full of fear, anger, resentment, judgment, condemnation, belittling. We identify with all of that. We've been taught all our lives in this modern culture who we're supposed to be a lie, the lie that we're supposed to be in this lifetime, and what we're supposed to be doing, what our goals should be, who our friends should be, who our mates should be, who and what our children should be. And we've been asleep for many millennia, many, many, many millennia on this planet. And it's time for it to stop. It's time for that culture to completely die out. That world, that era is done. It's dying out. And we need to create a new world. And this time, this world needs to be one based on being awake, based on song, knowledge of song, not the lies. Needs to be a world without the lies, without that programming of blindly held beliefs that we learn how to hold on to very dogmatically with huge emotional charge. And we defend at any cost all of these lies. So, from the point of view of the ancients, waking up is the thing to do. This is the real goal. Waking up and staying awake. So in our teachings, in our classes, the first class from us is called The Call of Your Song. And it addresses this. This is the ancient teachings. These teachings came long, long before the worlds of programming and blind beliefs. This is how we used to live. On this planet, many other planets, we used to live awake. And some people still do. They've kept the knowledge of it and passed it down in their groups. On other planets, definitely lots of different races live awake. This is the goal for individuals, all of us as individuals. It's where it has to start with each person, each individual, learning how to wake up, learning how to question everything that the culture has put on us, shoved down our throats, all that programming, to realize that that's a thing. That's the truth. That's the truth of things on a very large piece of humanity on this planet. We need to learn what the real truth is. You can't just try to tear away the old lies and not provide a true foundation, a true, clean, pure foundation of experiencing and knowledge to replace all that. We need to have that foundation within ourselves. It's something that each individual has to learn for themselves. And as more and more individuals are learning how to wake up, they're learning about their song, they're learning about the programming and the lies that we've been living in. And they change it for themselves. And in doing that, they start to change it in everybody around them. What we radiate out of us is a new tune, a new symphony, and one that's not based on the lies. It's the world that we want to make. A song and song to song based world with all the symphonies that that brings. Imagine that for a minute. Being aware of the deep connectedness of everything. And you can feel it throughout your body, throughout your spirit. Your whole song is feeling it and experiencing this aliveness in yourself, in everybody else, the consciousness, the beauty, the love, the incredible passion and creativity that is there. And it's waiting for us to find it and feel it and explore it, use it, be it. This is what we teach. It has to start with those two things. You have to find out who you really are. The lies, the programming of the modern culture has us thinking, blindly believing that we know who we are. We know what our identity is. We think that we know all about that, but we don't. What we learned was lies, pretend, things that don't exist, that is so diminishing. All of those lies, all that box that's so diminishing, it takes all of our power away. All of our power. Our power is our attention, our consciousness, our attention, our focus, and what we do with that, where we choose to aim our attention. That's our power. And when we're asleep, we've given it all away. Gave it all away. But we can take it back. As soon as we start to question the modern culture, the powers that be, the programming, and as soon as we start to turn our focus into the feeling of who and what we are, that the center of our being is our heart. The center of all beings is their heart. Center of the song is our heart. We feel from there. We think from there. We experience from there. We have intuition. We have knowingness. We have memory. We need to turn our attention, take control of it again, turn our attention to our song and the feeling of it. We come to know who and what our song is by feeling it, experiencing it. The ancients say that real knowledge comes from experiencing it. It can't come from just words and sentences. Our linear mind is a way to think about things, a way to aim our attention. But it can't find any of these answers. The answers come by experiencing, by feeling. And that's what we learn how to do in these teachings. The ancients have hoped and spread this hope through the generations, through the millennia, that we can wake up again. We can break out of this power-sucking prison that we've learned how to be in and learned how to perpetuate and live free. take our own power back. That's real power, our attention and our focus. Take it back and learn how to focus it purposefully and hold that focus on whatever it is we're choosing without distraction. Modern culture keeps us distracted all the time so that we don't, by accident, start experiencing something about our song and the real truth of things. And that has speeded up in the last 100 years, the distraction of our attention, the sucking it away, the inability for so many of us to not be able to keep our mind on something that we're choosing and stay there with it. To not be distracted by whatever's going on. We need to take it back. We need to take our power back. And when we do that, all the last little bits of the old culture, with all their lies and their prisons, their blindness and their drugs and everything that they do, it's dying away. It has no choice. And we need to replace it with something of our own choice. We need to take our power back, our attention and our focus and our love and our ability to experience song and song to song. We need to take that power back and build a new world, build a new self inside each of us, build an awareness of the connections to everything around us and what that is. Some people call it a field, the field of aliveness or the field of attention, the divine field. Got a lot of different names. But that's part of us. We're part of it. It's part of our world. And the connectedness that it maintains, that's part of us. That's part of our world. The deliciousness of it, the fruit of being awake is we don't have words in our modern languages to truly describe it. Beautiful beyond belief, so full of love. It's been described as feeling the tsunamis of love that are surging through our solar system, surging through our planet, surging through all of us. They are returning. They have not been around in the same way through many millennia, but they are returning. Tsunamis of love. We can learn how to ride the waves and share it all with everybody. No more lying about who we are to ourselves or anybody else. That's the kind of culture we want. That's where we're headed. That's why the ancients kept these teachings alive and so pure for so many millennia, passing them down very, very, very carefully so that they don't get distorted. And they are here now. They saved them for us here now because we need this. We need this knowledge. We need this experience. We need this to be able to create the new world, The ancients say the new world has been predicted to be a song-based world, an awake world, awake humanity, a very connected and caring humanity. So that's the core. That's the foundation. And I can't wait to hear what Laura and Helmut have to say about the core.
Thank you, Kay.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed one of Polly put in the chat, wow, every time I hear you talk, I see a new part. Thank you so very much. And I have to say that's I think exactly what I was experiencing. You know, it's I don't know if I'm 8 years into these studies. And so the core and the fundamental, I get to hear often. and I'm probably one of these people who need to hear it often to chip away. But listening today, there was a whole new piece of understanding that if everybody knew their song and connected with their song and then connected with the songs of everybody, everything, because everything's alive, the significant amount of, I keep wanting to use the word magic, that would just be available. You know, because the consciousness of everything, you know, is then available to you. You know, it would just be absolutely empowering. You know, when I know that's probably above the beginnings of this conversation, but that's where this goes. You know, it is like this amazing, beautiful, powerful, different world. I love what you continually say, that each piece of us are a unique piece of creator. And from last week, and that it has no boxes. You know, I see how much with our children, we're already trying to encourage them towards certain boxes that we want them to be, you know, and it's very hip now to let them pick their own box, you know, and not put them in a box, but help, you know, nudge and help them find the right box. So we're still not getting away from boxes. You know, we're trying to, we just haven't stopped that box building. As much as we think we're helping our children be unique and be themselves, we're still presenting them, you know, we say things of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, why do we even care about that yet? Why are we already making children look at boxes? You know, those are, you know, why does that matter? You know, instead, you know, allowing them to start just connecting with other things, especially themselves, especially their song. You know, it interests me. I was that parent too. I'm trying to avoid being that grandparent. But these, the uniqueness, you know, quieting our voices to be something other than what we want to be. I mean, I still have trouble dressing in the mornings without thinking how somebody is going to perceive me if I wear a certain thing. Really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I'm trying to reverse the conversations in my head to be, what does my song want for today? What will make me feel good? What will make me feel comfortable? It's a breaking out of the box is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I think.
I think when I first started learning Katasi, I was like, what is this song? And what is this mask thing? I mean, what is it? What exactly is it? And well, all the teachings, it's like you have this recipe box that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And I'm telling you, in this lifetime, we've got someone that knows how to cook it all and can teach it. I mean, just to think of how that knowledge got passed from pre-dynastic Egyptian to the ancient Peruvian, that information to be able to awaken. And my experience is when I started to learn my song, I felt that bigger part of who I was and more possibility, because when you're in that box, you don't see yourself as having any kind of power. Because the masks, they dictate how you're going to respond to everything. Like there's some sort of stimulus that goes on and you have a response to it. It's just automatic. But Katasi teaches you that you have a stimulus and there's a belief in there. And oftentimes there's a blind belief and then you have a response, and everything's dictated on how you're interacting with other people in our society, which is all based upon those lies and blind beliefs. So how do you break out of that box? Well, you learn about masks, you learn about your song, and then you start to perceive things differently. I mean, that's what happened to me. It's like I started to perceive things and other people weren't responsible for how I was feeling. And things didn't have to happen a certain way for me to be able to be in my song and be happy. It's one of the most empowering things I've ever come across in this lifetime. And I do believe it's the steps towards awakening. Because as soon as I started to know my song and get rid of those mask things, I always call it like pig pen, because you got all these thought forms and all these shoulds and blind beliefs and judgments all clouding what's really there. And when I started to let go of those and put those through Mother Earth's door, I started to perceive things differently. And the first time I really saw that life energy, I was like, oh my gosh, we're all connected to everything. And that's the experiential, right? And that's been here all along.
Been there all along.
I never saw it. I couldn't perceive it. And then as I started to perceive that connection, then you start to feel that unconditional love that's like, whoa, I've loved in my lifetime. I love my pets, I love my family, but it was the first time I started to feel that wave, you call it that wave. It was so unconditional, and it filled me. It's really hard. I could start crying talking about it because I never thought I'd ever experienced anything like that.
Because you didn't know anything like that.
I didn't know because I was in that box. Everything was just, I wasn't being able to perceive what's really there until I started working on my song and my masks. So yeah, I sure hope we get lots more people doing the call of your song.
The biggest, what Laura said, it was there all along. One of the things, Kay, that you teach is remembering your song. The first ceremonies are remembering the song, and the practice begins with trying to find a place when you're young, very young. Before you may have had a mask or two, but there weren't that many, like 36 plus that I was able to name and find. But I remember only recently, again, doing this for years, I decided in the song ceremony to go back to that place where I was 5, my happy spot, 5 years old, my birthday. My older sister and I have the same birthday. they were all distracted with her. So I had like this, my hair swept up by grandma, really tight and uncomfortable, but I was in this beautiful green, gorgeous, like dress. Still love beautiful dresses. That is in my song. And I like went outside and no one was looking, and I found a mud puddle. Sparkly, I'm born on Mother's Day, so in Oregon, that normally is rainy, sunny, rainy, sunny. And it was one of those days. Me in that green dress, ripped out my hair, got in that mud puddle, and was like, it was beautiful. There were so many sparkles in the mud and the soil. And I go back to that spot to connect with my song. And just recently, I would say maybe last year when I did that, doing it a few years, all of a sudden I really felt me. And I felt the wisdom of me. And all of a sudden, being back in that time and space, I connected with, I knew it all. I was so wise. At that point in time, me there, I could get back to the feeling of me at that moment with those mud puddles. I knew what I was doing and I knew how to do it. I was awake. There was like, I knew the universe and the universe knew me at that 5, and so now I look at my grandchildren like, you are so smart. They're 1 and 3. And I'm like, you guys are incredible. It's not all in my hands to keep them that way, but I look then back at where I was feeling my most lost in my 30s. And, looking at that difference between that 5-year-old who knew it all, knew what she was going to do, knew she was knew she was a natural born superhero and what was going to go on, and no one else got it. Was in so much trouble 5 minutes later when they found me. But it was like, I even can remember putting on the first mask and kind of practicing it to be like so-and-so, like, that's what they're doing, so this is what I'm going to do. But I remember, being so miserable at some point in my 30s, like so lost and so miserable. And, you see how it happens looking back as you're coming back out of that fog and that gray and that cloud and breaking back through that box. It's like, I'm so passionate getting more parents to learn this song, to go through the call of your song, to keep children in their song. I mean, really stepping in to that moment for me, and bringing it forward, it keeps me going. It was just like, I was that. It's like having good posture that I'm trying to get back. I habited myself out of it. I'm going to habit myself back into it. Yeah, those are my thoughts. It's there all along. It was there all along. We got to step out of that box.
There's so much magic there.
Oh,
there is. There's just
so
much
powerful
magic there.
That's what's happening over here.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kay. That was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And if anybody has any questions, there's an icon for questions, I believe, somewhere on the Zoom window. You can put them in there. You want to check out more about the call of your song course that Kay will be teaching live starting in October. The website is thecallofyoursong.com. And if you want to connect with Laura or Laura, it's lauraketty.com or eternalmoment54@gmail.com. Hey, I remember that.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, and if you want to repeat it, like you've done the call of your song before, but you miss hanging out with us, contact us too.
Yeah,
You know,
of course.
the teachers talk about the importance of repeating these things, because every time you do that, you're coming from a new perspective. And it's like a whole new class, a whole new teaching that you're learning every time. Excuse me, we got smoke. They used to always say, the Hedicas always said frequently, repetition is good, repeating is good. And it's a good thing that they repeated a lot of stuff.
For a few weeks, I mean, this has always been part of what I have been contemplating, but the box has been popping up more and more recently again, and discovering new aspects of it, and the enormity of it, of how thorough the programming is. It's not just keeping you in the box, but it's convincing people that you're not in the box. Don't worry about it. And most everything that is being pushed on us in this culture is designed to keep you in there, and at the same time convince you that you're not in there. And then in addition, that everybody who tells you that you're in there and that to get out, to really know and learn and experience life and the fullness it has to offer, you have to get out. They're all crazy. Don't listen to them. And the combination of these things, when you really step back and look at it, it's like, wow, this is an ingenious design. But it's time for it to end. And that's what we do in all the teachings, but especially in the call of your song, starting with these elements and learning about how to tear that box down, and what's beyond it, what life is really like outside of it. Thank you again. Okay, any other thoughts?
Did you have another thought?
Oh, you guys quit reading my mind. Well, I'd be opening up a can of worms, because once you start to know your song and you get rid of your mask, or at least start to get rid of your mask, then you start to remember past lifetimes. And then you get to feel your song even back then. And it just all comes together like this woven tapestry. Wonderful.
It is just the beginning courses. I mean, there's so much more fun, but it's a good way. I mean, it's a necessary way, but it really is a beautiful way to get in here. They do become, for some of us, addictive. In a beautiful way. Because there is so much more to you. And Kay, luckily, it has ways of showing you that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here as long as we've been here if you weren't so incredible, Kay, at teaching these things.
Thank you. It's like I always say, it is a privilege. It's a great honor and it's a great privilege to be able to share this, to teach you guys, to teach others, to share it out into the world. It is a huge honor. So thank you. And thank you, Helmut, too. And thank you for all the things you do behind the scenes to make all of this possible.
There's no place in the world I'd rather be.
Or multi-universe.
Or that. I mean, as all the rest of us, I've spent big parts of my life in the box. And to me, it was no fun. It was a painful experience. And I thank you every day and twice or 10 times on Sunday for helping me to find my way out. It's like, we deny our humanity staying in there. We deny ourselves our humanity and all the beauty this life offers, as long as we stay in the box. And we have a choice. We can continue there or we can step out. And it doesn't have to take lifetimes or even a lifetime. It always reminds me of what Damana and Chia told you. It takes as long as you think it will, and it will be as difficult as you think it will. All right. Thank you. Thank you again. And thank you guys for joining us. Beautiful. Always so beautiful to know you're there live. And if you want to join us, thecallofyoursong.com to connect with the beautiful ladies, laurakelly.com, eternal moment for at gmail.com is the other Laura. I'll get it eventually. And we see you again next week. We continue this series. This is exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody watching, and everybody that's been here live, and those who are going to be looking at this later. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Okay. Love you.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.